Oh. This guy actually looks like the guy from Shingeki. Oh god. Oh. You'll find out.
そうだ。私がお前たちの父親だ。目下複数の反乱分子がこの司令部を狙っている。パパ。お前たちは。
Yeah. You found out.
でけえ扉だな。なんだか嫌な空気。
It's a familiar sight.
本当にここなのか。
Nasty somehow.
あるから聞いた通りだ。
Barry the Butcher.
こいつ何者だ。
ナンバー66。
Chopper. God damn it! I called him Butcher again.
スライサーの相棒だったやつだ。
The art style looks different. This is essentially one of the most iconic tracks of the anime, right? Ah, the wall's still up. No need. Oh. Ooh.
早く引かせないとブリッグズ兵は遠慮なしに戦い続けるぞ。
中央司令部東西南北すべての本の締めろ。ブリッグズ兵マスタングたち一人として中に入れるな。
腐ってはいるが根性なしではないようだ。
調子に乗るなベロ。貴様らブリッグズの山猿玉などひねり潰して。邪魔ダメ。
Oh boy. He's kind of like, yeah, I guess I gotta do it.
また一つ上の席が空いた。我がアームストロング家に代々伝わりし名刀に薄ら汚い血を吸わせずに済んだわ。
Man, there's a lot of children, right? The souls of children. Yeah, he's clocked it. It's starting to feel like this episode might have been outsourced. Yeah, see, the character model's really off here. Ooh. Yeah, but how do you... There's that aspect, right? Ed's gonna struggle. Ooh. Ah. God damn. A bear. Look in here. Hankel. Yep, still banging.
しかし戦力になれないってのは歯がゆいな。この音昨日からずっとだな。
He should be. He's military.
何の音だ。
セリムが僕の頭で遊んでるんだよ。
He'll pick it up. He'll clock it. He clocked it.
止めろ、アルフォンス。その音をやめさせろ。トンツーだ。軍用の通信符号だ。
A bit late, Hankel, but...
奴はここの場所を教え。
Oh god. Okay, who's coming? Oh, it can't be Sloth. Ah, Kimberly. Jeez. Oh no.
お迎えありがとうございます。キンブリ。
まったく余計な仕事を増やさないでください。
Scratches.
もう油断しませんから。
Yeah, he's gonna be...
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Oh god. Pride's gonna be even more ruthless now. After that slip up. A lot of classic music from the first Oh, that was great. Oh. Could it? Yeah, could it be reborn out of this? Yeah. And they're all full of... Oh, God. Actually, no. It had the similar beginning, but... Yeah. Yeah, you have.
まずい、アルフォンス君が。
もう待てよ先生。あんたがドクターマルコだってバレたらどうすんだよ。落ち着けよ。あんたが人質にでもなったら、
Okay, Yoki.
ボスたちの足かせになっちまうんだぞ。下手に動くのは禁物だ。おとなしくしてよ。一人ですか。グラトニーも来ていると聞きました
Yeah,
が。
about that.
奴は私がいただいてしまいました。仲間ではありません。共同体です。元は同じ父上から生まれた身。また一つに戻っただけのことです。ハイケルさん。
Oh.
ほう、まだ生きていましたか。さすがはキメラ。生命力が強い。
ハイケルさん。
Yeah. They need you. Ooh, great transition. Oh. He can move.
Nani? 虐罪により機関に銃殺命令が下された。構え。
Who's gonna come in?
少しはダメージを食らっててくれよ。
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, he's quick. Oh. Shogun. Who's gonna come? Who's gonna come? Yes! Oh. Might have cracked a few ribs. Oh.
誰に物を言っているアレックス。
ご検証で何より。
He's like, I'll take it. A formidable opponent.
鉄砲玉ぐらいではびくともせんぞ。
我が輩の得意分野ではありませんか。
Hand to hand.
どうかここはこの弟アレックスにお任せを。来い、化け物。
Monster class.
めんどくせえ。俺に構うな。
Oh man.
逃げろ。
やだ。諦めないでよ。僕が必ず助けるから。くそ。動け。この足。こんなところで負けるわけには。
お前ら兄弟。
Yeah.
なんでてめえもボロボロなのに他人まで助けようとするんだ。
誓ったんだ。兄さんと誓ったんだ。もう誰も絶対死なせないって。
生き残りゃ勝ちだってキンブリのやつも言ってたっけ。おかげでいいもん持ってたこと。
Oh, the stone. He still has it. And Al sees it too.
どうしてハインケルさんがこれを。賢者の石。確かにこれがあれば勝てるかもしれない。
the cost of using it.
知ってる。こいつは人の命でできてるってんだろ。元の体に戻るのにこれを使いたくないってのもお前の兄貴に聞いた。だったらお前のためじゃなく世界を守るために使
Oh
っ
my
てや
god,
れ。
his score.
こんな石ころになってるのにまだ人の命として認めてるお前だから頼むんだ。俺にはわかる。
Get Heinkel.
どんな見てくれになったって大事なものを守るために戦いたいんだよ。こいつらにも戦わせてやってくれ。
分かった。
ぶちかましてやれアルフォンス。
Oh, it's gonna end. Nah.
爆風で吹き飛ば
No
しま
need.
しょうか。
No need.
土台あの足では逃げられん。
これは逃げるどころか。
Kimberly.
いい。
Whoa.
非常にいいですよ。アルフォンス・エルリック。
Is this? Yeah, it's a new ending. But that was beautiful. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm going to allow myself to use a term that I don't really like using all that much, right? Epic. That felt epic, right? I feel like it gets tossed around so much these days, but that felt so epic. And then some, right? I mean, look, the ending is an all-timer moment. It, for me right now, sitting here, that's an all-timer moment for this anime specifically, and just anime in general. Oh my god, Al. And Heinkel, of course, you know, Heinkel is so crucial to this scene, to this actually happening. Al actually putting this into motion. This is insane. It's insane. You have Al kind of leveling up, you know, a bit of a power up. And of course, I'll get into the whole, you know, morality aspect of it and how Heinkel actually ends up giving him a different perspective, you know, helps him look at it from a different angle, a different understanding of the Philosopher's Stone. The episode as a whole, listen, you know, I called it epic. And to me, it was starting to feel like one of the Lord of the Rings films, right? The Return of the King, perhaps. Because now, essentially, everything is at play. Everything is at play. It's transitioning from big moment to big moment to big encounter to another big encounter. And I think it's actually being paced beautifully. It didn't feel jarring. It didn't feel like I wasn't getting enough time with each one of these encounters or situations that are playing out. You know, you've got a lot of big groups that have a lot of important people. You know, you have Ed and his group kind of locked into battle at the moment, kind of taking us back to a bit of an iconic location, right? And you see there is a bit of a reminder, isn't there? You see the remains of Barry the Chopper. And then you see the wall that Al put up. So them being in that place and then us, the audience, also returning to that room, that iconic room, like I said, it just feels like, okay, you know, there's history here. There's history here. And, you know, speaking of history, you go to another group, you've got the Armstrongs kind of linking up. The Armstrong siblings essentially about to go up against Sloth. Because I can't see Olivier just sitting on the sides or being on the sidelines just because Alex showed up. No. That's just not like her, is it? And you see that Sloth is actually quite deceptively quick on his feet, right? There's a quick flash of him just shows up, right? Almost felt like instant transmission from the DBZ days, right? Kind of felt like that to me. And he got her. And, you know, Armstrong shows up. Alex shows up at just the right moment. And, of course, it is such a grand entrance, you know, kind of providing a bit of that levity to this really serious moment. I mean, up until the point Sloth shows up, you see that Olivier is running riot inside. isn't she? There's a really interesting moment as she has the guy, the general, I suppose, who gets stabbed by the sword that's been passed down from generation to generation. So it was cool to have her say that, because Alex used to say something similar as well really early on in the anime. But she said, your men don't seem to have discipline, or, they're lacking discipline. And I think she perceives this lack of discipline as their inaction at that moment, that they haven't shot her already, right? That being said, she comes from quite a distinct background in terms of the people she's around, right? Her men from Briggs, totally different type of soldier, right? Listen, I think it doesn't feel like it's over the top or anything, that the Briggs soldiers are just running riot on the outside. They could just do it all by themselves, or a lot of it, the coup aspect of it. But it's great to see the Armstrong siblings kind of come together in this moment. But listen, Sloth is certainly formidable, right? Of course, the first time she encounters Sloth is back at Briggs. But you see that there are a few more things up his sleeve, right? Sloth, like I said, is deceptively fast as well from the looks of it. So yeah, it sets it up nicely. So you've got this, then you've got, again, Al going up against Kimberly and Pride. How insane, right? It's crazy to think about. Then you have, of course, Ed and his crew. They're kind of surrounded. They're kind of trapped. I could see someone like a Hohenheim potentially showing up at the right moment to help them out, because at this moment, there's no one else really around, right? It's just Hohenheim. And Hohenheim told Lan Fan, or he implores Lan Fan to go find Greed, go find your master or your prince, young prince, the person you really seem to care about. But yeah, speaking of the young prince and also Greedling, yeah, he might be around. He might be around. And as I am in the underground, how about the return of Envy? Oh my goodness! Listen, I'll be honest. I was kind of happy. I was kind of happy to see him or her or them again. I really was. And it was such a fantastic sequence as well. Listen, a lot of this episode, it's a tricky one or interesting one, because at points it feels really quite inconsistent in terms of the character models, but then there's some stunning animation on display, especially for some of these fight sequences. Mei Chang kind of trying to dodge the mannequin puppet army. Beautiful sequence, beautifully animated, right? And then there's some really great moments later on as well and earlier. And that includes Envy's return, the animation there, and just the visual depiction of it all. I thought it was really quite fantastic, right? And once they do end up taking their, form that all of us know, the humanoid form, I thought it had this almost euphoric feeling to it, didn't it? Right? In the voice acting, in the actual animation of it, the body language, right? I loved it. I really loved it. But yeah, the Immortal army, or perhaps even the Immoral army, they don't seem to be obedient at all. And I think this is something Father must have known, but he felt no reason or felt no need to be, telling any of these people about it. It's been so clear for so long that they're just being used, right? And they're just too silly and too dumb, essentially, to realize, right? That one guy, he legitimately thought, I'm going to give them these orders. He's like, listen up now. So the likes of these men that are also essentially puppets and pawns, they're not going to be able to control this army, right? And, of course, there's something, it's not a clear-cut case of, this is just this terrible force that they have to eliminate. There's the whole souls aspect, human souls attached to these bodies, to these containers, right? And it's something that Ed has to tackle. The moment he realizes and clocks that, this sounds and feels really familiar and similar to that time inside of Gluttony, around the time he does end up using the Philosopher's Stone, Envy's Philosopher's Stone. So there's that aspect of it as well. But you see that Ed doesn't really choke, or he doesn't really lock up too much right after the initial shock of it. And then, of course, you get to see that these souls that are attached to the containers, the puppet army, they still crave that familial bond, right? You see a lot of times there'll be children calling out for like an older sibling or mother or father. And then you also get to see quite the contrast in terms of these souls, these human lives being utilized, right? A lot of them are being used here for something really quite dark, right? But then on the flip side, you have Heinkel, who convinces Al that it's okay. It's okay. You know, you're not going to be using it for selfish reasons. And, you know, he's been around these brothers long enough to know the type of people they are. And, you know, Al specifically is really quite unique as well, given his own current situation and his own, you know, unique perspective on the matter. You know, given that his own soul is attached to the suit of armor. You know, to me, it really felt like that Heinkel truly believes that Al is worthy of using this immense power, right? That he is responsible enough to use it, right? That he has a good heart. I don't think it was a case of him trying to just hype him up and, you know, trying to get him to use it. I think he firmly actually believes all of that. That Al does have a deep appreciation for this immense power and how it was obtained in the first place, right? The sad nature of it all. But, you know, oh man, I cannot say enough about this character, the supporting cast character, Heinkel, and the impact he's making here. You know, it kind of goes back to that point I was making, or I've made a few times, that Ed and Al are surrounded by a lot of really experienced people. People that can share unique experiences and unique perspectives and things about life and their, you know, take on it. And you see Heinkel here just does something really quite special in that moment, right? And, you know, I love how essentially he's able to use something that's been there for a long time, though, of course, it's kind of a new thing to Al at that moment as he pulls it out of his pocket, but us, the audience, knows he picked it up, right? But the point being, you know, they've known about the Philosopher's Stone and the makeup of the Philosopher's Stone and their refusal to ever use it. But I love how he's able to provide that new perspective, you know, give meaning to their sacrifice, give meaning to their life, let them fight. They want to fight. I can just tell, right? Listen, maybe some could argue, okay, is he really in a position to be making that kind of call that everyone or all the souls inside of the stone, they want to fight? So you don't have to use it for selfish reasons, but you can use it for the greater good. I felt that Heinkel plays such an important role here. And not just for this encounter, just how Al even thinks about this as a whole, right? My goodness, it's crazy how impactful this character has become. Supporting cast member Heinkel, the Chimeras, right? They continue to be such fantastic additions, really late on in the game as well, right? That's another thing that Arakawa has really excelled at. You know, getting to the end phase of the story, yet still slowly adding on new characters that are able to have this type of impact on the story. And you know, this man has really gotten to know the Elric brothers, right? Both brothers essentially saved him, right? Ed got him out of there from under that rubble or debris initially, and then of course, you know, they got Ed out of there as well, and then they bonded, and you know, it's been fantastic since. And now you see Al, right? No legs. He's trying to drag him out of there like it's a scene out of a war movie, right? Someone who's lost their legs, but they're not giving up. You know, they're not going to leave a comrade behind. And that line of dialogue, right? You brothers are something else. Oh, they're something else, all right. They really are. And then, of course, there's a lot of fantastic imagery, some striking imagery on display throughout that scene. You know, at one moment, he holds out his hand and he's got the Philosopher's Stone in his hand, but the perspective makes it look like it's actually Al's hand that's being held out, right? But it was actually Heinkel's hand. I love that frame. It's a beautiful frame. And then, of course, you know, the moment he opens up his hand to show the stone in his hand and the new score that kicked in, or essentially the new ending that starts kicking in. Oh my goodness. You know, overall, this episode really felt like such a showcase for some of the most incredible music from this anime, right? It's really front and center in this episode. And I think it's perfectly paired with each one of these specific encounters or scenes that are playing out. And then, of course, both Pride and Kimberly get quite the shock. You know, the look on Pride's face is really quite reminiscent of the look on King Bradley's face around the time, you know, him and Greed are on that rooftop and he's really shocked for a moment. And you see the same look on Pride's face. And then, of course, Kimberly's reaction is one of shock, but also he's actually kind of proud in that moment. And I don't think it's just as simple as him being excited for this, challenge that's about to come at him. That might be a part of it, but I think it's more to do with the fact that he's actually kind of proud of Alphonse in that moment. Proud in the sense that he likes that. They've established it already, the type of person Kimberly is and the type of resolve that he can respect. To see Alphonse take this step, it's a massive step, to make use of the Philosopher's Stone. That is exciting to Kimberly, that this individual was able to do this, right? Because he knows Alphonse a little bit at this point. He knows a bit about him, right? So clearly Kimberly understands that, yeah, the Philosopher's Stone is in play, the one he dropped as well. So, that's certainly quite interesting because it's getting there now, right? How much longer can these fights really play out? Right? At some point, they have to reach a conclusion, or these character arcs have to begin reaching conclusion points, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how this fight's about to play out in terms of potential death or conclusions, right? But yeah, it'd be quite interesting, right? That the stone he ended up dropping might actually lead to his defeat potentially. Even if he does have a Philosopher's Stone, it's not going to be easy going up against Pride and Kimberly at the same time from the looks of it. But I think that bump from using the Philosopher's Stone should give him almost equal footing, perhaps, right? Close to it, or as close as it can get. Kind of leveling the playing field. But that suit of armor, silhouette coming through the smoke. Oh my goodness, that is such an incredible moment, isn't it? And I loved how they used the new ending, right? The fade in or the fade out. And then, of course, that iconic final frame, really focusing on his eyes, right? And the eyes are looking a little extra red today, aren't they? And also, you cannot forget Kimberly's voice acting at that moment. You really feel that excitement, that legitimate excitement that he is kind of feeling in that moment, right? To see an individual take this type of step and not be defeated by the odds of the situation they find themselves in. And then, of course, the ending kicks in, and it really did kind of sound a bit similar to the opening, right? It's a totally different tone, quite the tonal shift from the last opening. And there's a good chance this might be the last one, right, of the show, the last opening-ending pairing. I mean, I've only listened to it at this point because, I can't look at it at this point until I kind of get the clear. And it did kind of sneak up on me. I didn't realize this is going to have the new opening. But I'm going to guess it's probably going to have spoilers. But yeah, in terms of the tonal shift, it felt really quite sentimental, melancholic, somber in its tone, right? And it's interesting, given that this is the final phase of the anime now, of the story now, and that's the approach. So I'm really, really quite excited to see the visuals for this opening, right? That should be fascinating, given the tone of the actual song that's being used. And I really do feel that it might actually be the same singer from the last opening. And then, of course, it turns out that it was a signal, right? It was Morse code. And then I suppose Kimberly's being sent out there, right, by father. But it was presented in that manner, right, that Heinkel kind of figures it out a bit too late, right? So sometimes, those types of things can be a little bit silly, right? That this whole time the noise is happening, but, the character realizes just a bit too late. Or, right as it's about to go to hell, the situation is about to go to hell, that's around the time they realize, right? And then, of course, you have Al in there who just didn't think anything of it either, right? Now, listen, yes, that's not a part of his training or his background, but he didn't question it other than assuming that Pride or Selim is actually being a silly little guy, right? At that moment. And I thought it was so creepy that as Pride or Selim kind of walks out of there and he's thanking Kimberly, and it sounded like he was using Selim's voice, right? And lastly, you've got Mustang and his group kind of stranded at the moment. They're kind of stuck because of, the ice cream truck description. But, it feels like a pretty simple fix. I mean, Ed actually did it quite recently, didn't he? It was him and the two Chimera, Darius and Heinkel. And, of course, his hardcore look is incorporated into this new look car of theirs. So I'm sure Mustang can do something similar. But yeah, I think that does it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access to the next few episodes right now, or perhaps even timer-based full length, consider checking out the Patreon page and perhaps supporting the channel, right? If you are interested, the links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, Twitter, Instagram, if that's your thing. Okay, yeah, so that does it for this one, folks. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 52. Until then, take it easy.